Shep is on the show for 10 years. We have seen Shep have a variety of wonderful girlfriends. We have seen him be infatuated and head over heels and ultimately cheat on every single one of them.
Yeah.
We're going back 10 seasons, okay? We know this man a long time. Suddenly, he meets this gorgeous woman. She's Miss Bahamas. She's a model. Yes, get the infatuation. I would like to note that we happen to know that Shep, during filming and throughout the duration of dating Sienna, was on Raya the entire time. Okay, so that's one piece of my theory.
Welcome to Cocktails and Gossip, the podcast where we drink cocktails, but you better believe we're going to spill the tea. We chat reality TV, celebrity blinds, and the hottest tea from BravoandCocktails.com. And as always, it's all alleged and just for fun. We do not verify our blinds. I'm B.
And I'm Amanda. Let's get into this week's tea.
What's up, cocktailers? Amanda, I'm back. I missed you guys so much.
Oh my gosh, it's good to hear your voice. It's weird because I was definitely holding back from texting you multiple times a day like I usually do. I was in a little bit of withdrawal, and then I was really trying to not bother you once you got back, knowing that stuff is always crazy. Haven't even gotten much of a chance to hear about your trip. How was it?
It was amazing. My first time in South America. We went to Argentina. We have family there. We have family friends I grew up with people who are Argentinian, and we always wanted to go. So it was really great to finally get there. The cool thing about Argentina, which, you guys probably know this, I'm stunad. It's such a long flight, but when you get there, so this time of the year, because of daylight savings, it's 2-hour difference. And then the other half of the year, it's only 1-hour difference. So you have to go halfway around the world, but you're on the same time zone for the most part. It would be the same as if I went to California, right? Like an hour or two. So that's cool because you're not jet lagged. But I have to tell you, I do wish I was a fancy person with a lay down first class flight. Because, man, I've done Europe a lot, but 11 hours is long.
Yeah, that is I don't know that have I ever been on that long of a flight? That is a long
It was long
time. How did the neck things work?
Okay. Actually, you know what? We're going to link the one that my husband got because the other one it got here, but I didn't pack it because he was insisting that this one was better. And I have to tell you the truth. I am not a person who sleeps on a plane. And what it did is it stabilized my neck. And then it had a thing over your eyes. And it worked.
Oh, no.
So remember, the flight was at night, right? So both ways. So you are tired, but it worked. I think it worked, and it was inexpensive. I think he said it was $13 or $16. The other one that you guys recommended, which I did buy and I will certainly try next time, was, I don't want to say, maybe $50.
The turtle one. Yeah,
yes.
That's the one I've been curious about.
But wait a minute. So you and Tracy did an awesome job.
Ah,
I loved your interview with Becky. You're going to laugh. So I got a bunch of messages today, throughout was it today? Because it must have been on the cocktail pod, I think. Because they said, B, can you please tell Amanda that apparently you were talking about Dylan Efron's name on Traders. Under his name, it says Down to Earth. And you thought it
we gotta be real about this.
You thought it was describing him as a person? Which, honestly, I don't know that show either. So had I been on the pod, Tracy would have been like, he is down to earth.
I just had no idea. Oh, who was it? Charlie. Yeah, I didn't know. I thought he was just an influencer and Zac Efron's brother. And Carly, one of our cocktailers, sent me an email. I was like, that makes a lot more sense. I just thought it was shady editing.
But wait, okay. And in your defense, they do have Britney's ex and they do shady editing. I just saw a reel because they're filming Traders today. It is Thursday. We're finally recording on a Thursday, guys, so we can actually talk about Wednesday night shows. So they're recording, they're filming Traders reunion today in LA. And there was a reel of Dylan Efron picking up Boston Rob from LAX.
I saw it. So
I'm
cute.
obsessed with their bromance.
It's hilarious. They literally now twice in 2 different reels, I've seen the run up and jump hug between them, like the toddler jump, as Heather McDonald likes to call it.
I feel like what we need is what's wonderful about Traders. Last season, we had Daddy and Phaedra, CT and Phaedra. And from these shows, when you get these like people from all walks of reality life and Hollywood and whatever together, you do get these unique friendships and duos and sometimes trios. And I think a really cool spinoff that somebody needs to do is get them all together. So far, we have CT and Phaedra. We have Dylan Efron and Boston Rob. I'm sure you guys will think of other ones. Like, I'm sure House of Villains has a couple people that got friendly and put them on a show. I don't know what that show looks like. Do we make it a competition show? Do we make it like just a vacation?
I love it. Or even like a Traders All-Stars, because it would also be fun. Or it would be fun, like All-Stars and the people that we barely got to see.
Dorinda.
Like Dorinda, and I'm trying to remember, it was the guy from
Reza
Drag Queen,
Bob.
Yeah, from the drag show, that he was like one of the first ones to get voted off. Like, I would have loved to see more of him, and I just am blanking on his name. Guys, you can email me. I can look it up too. But I agree, because we want to see more of these people. Speaking of Traders, and I'm not going to name any names, but I'm watching this with my daughter. We're very into watching it. And we also follow them on social media. So we see Rob, for example, Rob and Dylan, Down Earth Dylan, have this great friendship, even though Rob was a traitor, right? And do you think that some of the folks on Traders are just able to get over it, over the hard feelings, over everything, especially some of the things that we're hearing too lately about some of the traders swearing on their children and grandchildren? Do you think people are able to get over it and just chalk it up to the television show, or do you think there's still hurt feelings? We should have asked Trishelle this later on.
In Trishelle's case, we know that MJ was still really pissed at her, but I think that was higher stakes because they were at the last episode where there was a lot of money on the line.
Yeah.
And I think it really depends, right, on the specific circumstance. So, like, in the case of when Chrishell voted off Nikki Bella, I don't think Nikki Bella harbored anything because Chrishell was trying to play the game. So I feel like she understood that. But in the case of Carolyn and Danielle, where they were both traitors and they weren't loyal, and even with Boston Rob and those two women, like, there's a real beef there.
Yeah.
So I just think it's really depends on the situation. I think Dolores was on Watch What Happens Live last night. Andy was like, "You hate Tom." And Dolores was like, "Hate's a strong word. We were playing a game and he was annoying me, but I certainly don't hate him." She's actually, a lot of his silly, weird things were very entertaining at times. So I do think it's like life though, because some of these people just naturally hate each other and then others don't. So I think in the case of, I'm just going to use the Chrishell and Nikki, they obviously liked each other. They were like, what is that little nickname they have each other? The Babes or something.
The God, something about big eyed
Bambies, the Bambies.
Bambies, yeah.
Like, I think like they naturally met, clicked, like each other. And I think that when they get back together for the reunion, they'll probably go out to dinner and they will continue that. And then I think there's other people like Boston Rob and Carolyn who just didn't click, wouldn't be friends, and that will continue too.
Yeah, because I think Carolyn hasn't, as much as I've enjoyed her watching her, I think she is more of a lone wolf in life.
Yes, she said that.
I'll be interested to see how everyone reacts to Danielle after the fact. Although I want to say
Danielle's the one who apparently they didn't show it, but Dolores hinted at it on Watch What Happens Live. And who was the other one who said it? I saw a clip of a podcast. Oh, Chrishell. Chrishell said that Danielle was swearing on her grandkids that she wasn't a traitor. And so, and we heard Dolores say, what I learned on Traitors, Dolores said, was just because you would never do something and it seems over the line doesn't mean other people wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest with you, I'm with Dolores and Chrishell on that. I would under no I wouldn't swear. I wouldn't use my children. Like, I don't believe in, I swear on my parents. I swear on this one's grave. I don't swear on my children, even if I'm telling the truth. I don't think it's appropriate.
Agreed.
So a part of me feels like it's weird to do that in the first place. So if you're willing to even do that, I don't even know if I trust it.
I was gonna say that, but maybe in that because somebody in real life who says something like that to me, it would immediately put up red flags. But on that show, what do they have to really say?
Short of a gun to my head, that is the only.
But I would never. It still's never. I would never do it. No.
Even if it was truthful, if somebody was like, "Did you rob the bank?" and they had a gun to your head, and you did not rob the bank, would you swear on your kids in that situation?
If someone had a gun to my head,
a gun to your head, you did not rob the bank. But now, if I did rob the bank, I would not.
I would never, and definitely never, if I wasn't telling the truth. But I still, even just like you said, if I'm telling the truth, there's no way, because I
never need to prove myself to the extent that I need to swear on my children. If you don't believe me, then we can move on.
Exactly. And that I'm like, anything in my real life where there's a situation and there's really not. And then I'm like, if somebody doesn't believe me about something, then I'm like, why would we waste any more time on this? But on a show like that, where they don't have anything else, I would have believed. I would have been right there with them and would have believed Danielle as well. Yes. So I did see Danielle in an Instagram video with Dylan in New York, I believe. I think it was Danielle. So maybe she isn't in everyone's bad graces like I'm guessing she is.
He's so down to earth that...
Down to earth Dylan, if you would like to come on our podcast, I hope that I didn't objectify him, because I think I said that I think he's good looking.
He's
Tracy. Now Tracy is sending me Instagrams of him with his shirt off.
You know what it is? He's so sweet too.
Yeah.
Like, how old is he? Is he 30 even?
Somewhere in his 30s, I think.
He's a beautiful boy. He's beautiful inside. He's beautiful outside. He's lovable. I believe he has a girlfriend. I love him. I want to be invited to his wedding. I want to see his babies. I want to be the godmother of them. I just love him. He's so lovable. He's like a golden retriever. You know how they say some people have golden retriever energy? That's Dylan Efron. I loved the interview with Becky Minkoff. I thought that was very cool. For those of you that don't know, we had posted a lot of stuff about Becky, and she DM'd me and was like, "Hey, I could clear the air." And I was like, "Come on the pod." And then the way that the schedule worked out, it's when I was away. And of course, timing is everything. The timing, Roni's wrapped. So we were like, all right, let's get this interview done. So Amanda took it on. How was it, Amanda? It sounded great.
Honestly, I was really surprised at how forthright and open she was about answering anything and everything. It made me feel that when we were scheduling the interview, there was nothing like, we can't talk about XYZ, nothing like that. I had listened to a couple of other podcasts that she had done recently, because it was really my goal to ask her questions that other podcasts haven't, so that our listeners would get a different experience, because she's definitely been on a few pods lately.
Which I don't blame her, because she was an unknown face behind a brand. Like, I knew what she looked like, but I had never heard her speak. I didn't know anything about her. I didn't even know the Scientology rumor. So then she came on the season, had a very bad showing, whether it was an edit or it just didn't translate. Because I spoke with her too prior to the interview, and I thought she was great and very easy to talk to. My experience was similar to yours. And some of you guys asked why we didn't touch Scientology. She did not say that we couldn't. To be honest, Amanda and I are, like, we don't mess with stuff that people say is cults. Like, it's not going to be us. That's not us.
But also, I think my expectation going in, I didn't really think that I wish that maybe I had asked her even just an off the wall question. What is it that people find that's surprising about something that would have been still a softball question? Because I didn't also ask those questions, because I'm like, I don't know we're going to really get much more than we've already gotten from her. And I was so much more interested in the duality of her as this entrepreneur whose platform is all about empowering women and women entrepreneurs versus her lack of talking about that and really like the showing she had on Roni. I got some DMs and emails and stuff saying that people enjoyed the interview because they felt like they saw her differently after listening to that, which I thought was great because I did too. I do want to say that one of the things I was surprised to hear her say is that she took the producer's word, took them at face value for what they were saying instead of watching the previous season and seeing what the show was actually about. I was surprised. I believe her, but I was surprised that she didn't do a little more due diligence.
So my feeling on that, because I had cocktailers reach out and say, oh, that's nonsense. Housewives has been around for 20 years. Everyone knows. I will say this. She signed on as a friend, and friends usually are able to not get that much heat. I feel that, and sometimes friends do get a lot of heat. Like, comes to mind Marlo in Atlanta, who was a friend for so many years, and I feel like was always on the receiving end of heat. But then you have friends like Jennifer Tilly, and Kathy Hilton, who are like literally accessories and pop on and are able to promote their vodka or their caviar or whatever, and then pop off. So I do think that it would be naive of her to assume that she would definitely get that. But I think that it is a possibility because it does happen. I think the naive piece comes with going on any reality show with something so unique, such as being a Scientologist on a reality show, and expecting that not to come up. Because even if your cast doesn't mention it, you interviewers and everything are going to bring that up to them. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I'm not saying she's not telling the truth. I'm just saying that was awfully naive of her to think.
Right.
Because I think if she didn't have the Scientology piece, I think she could have been like the bag lady who's on the show. And I really do think that. I think the Scientology people, the Scientology piece, they didn't say it turned them off, but I think it definitely did turn off some of her castmates and made them
regarded
her. Yeah. But less willing to like get to know her and be nice and more treat her like a caricature of a person. Because you label, it's like a stereotype. You're labeling and stereotyping somebody before you get to know them.
Yeah. I was literally about to say the same thing.
Implicit bias, guys. We all have implicit bias.
Sure.
And the reality is I certainly have implicit bias about thinking that Scientology is something a little bit worrisome or scary based on how it's been presented in the media. I have never truly looked into it deeply. But when I spoke with Rebecca and she was so like down to earth and normal, and I was like, always have to remind ourselves not to judge before we get to know.
Definitely. Because going into the interview too, we had some of the tea on her that we talked about not paying that influencer. And she really didn't have the best of showings between those few things. Anyway, I really did enjoy her. She should be on the Down to Earth show with Dylan too. So we always want to try to start with something fun, and we're going to get into the more fun stuff. Summer House, Southern Charm, Southern Hospitality. But we got to touch on Karen Huger's sentencing first. If you guys... We've got a couple of really good posts on the free tea section on the site. One that has time-stamped updates from everything that happened that morning. And then another one that has a cocktailer's account of, I think, some of the more poignant things that happen inside of the courtroom. So take a look at those. But the headline, as I'm sure you guys mostly have heard, is Karen was sentenced to 2 years of, it says jail, but I think they mean prison because those are not the same. Prison. 1 year is suspended, so she would only serve 1 year. Apparently, the prosecution was only going for 6 months, and the judge came in with it's a year. She's also got fines, 5 years of probation, and a year of suspended license. So once she gets out of prison, she still can't drive for a year. We are hearing that we have a lot of top cocktailer lawyers within our community.
We call them top cocks. Shout out to Tracy. That's something she would say.
Oh my God, it totally is. We hear from our top cocks. Like, she will probably end up doing less than a year with good behavior. She was brought into custody right away. During the sentencing, she wouldn't admit an alcohol problem, saying it's the anxiety meds' fault that she decided to have too much and then drive.
Ay.
Like we said, the judge did not let her off easily. Ray Spoke was very supportive of her. And here's some highlights from what the follower who was in court said. They said that, let's see, her attorney said that Karen is fighting, quote unquote, dark things behind the camera, and that everything we see on TV is not her real life, and that the only reason that she was actually being sentenced was because she was famous.
Okay, Cher.
And blamed it on overuse of anxiety meds, and that they shouldn't even be in court. He said, and this is in quotes, only a sign got hit, not a person.
Disgusting.
Ugh. Apparently, I know, because I was watching like a hawk, this Reddit post.
And shout out to We Go I podcast.
We
I Go.
What else is going on is what it stands for.
Yes.
So,
she's an awesome account. I follow her. She infuses humor into all of her stuff. And she was at the courthouse. It was awesome.
yeah. And Purple Panda Pants on Reddit is the account that she's the one that got shut down by the judge. So luckily we had multiple people doing that. Let's see here. Oh, there was something said about Karen driving drunk because she was raped in college, which is terrible, but that she was planning to go to AA in Bethesda. I don't understand why somebody who's saying that they don't have an alcohol problem would go to AA. But
the most shocking thing was that her rehab didn't even have alcohol services. And the prosecutors pointed that out and said, do you see? She went to some basically spa or like a mental health treatment center that did not address alcohol addiction. And the prosecutor said that it lines up with the pattern of her not taking accountability. And the judge wasn't having it. He went over how much she drank, that her car flew over the median, a pedestrian walking path. She refused a sobriety test. She insulted the cops. We all saw that body cam footage.
Yeah.
They said her husband, Ray, spoke. Her kids spoke. The judge pointed out that she has a habit of working the system and not listening or caring about what she did. So as a result of basically everything that happened, but also her actual appearance in court, he demanded a different outcome. Like Amanda said, the prosecution wanted 6 months. But when they looked at everything, when they looked at the Beachside Recovery Center, when they listened to her attorney say, hey, she hit a stop sign, not a person. When Karen stood there in front of the judge and said, I'm not an alcoholic. It's the anxiety meds that caused this. He said, you know what? You're taking zero accountability in a court of law. So you're going for 2 years, but she'll only serve a year. And she'll probably end up serving less, I think, when all's said and done. Good behavior, crowded, whatever. There's all these things, right?
Yeah. And I think in the other post, we had a note about the judge saying, you're clearly not learning from your mistakes after 4 DUIs. And then coming and blaming, this is her 4th DUI, but blames this crash on anxiety meds, forcing her to first drink too much and then get behind the wheel. Like I said earlier, this is just peak Karen deflection.
Yes.
Hopefully going to jail will help her finally learn. Let's hope. So let's talk about, we should have a name for the non-housewife shows. Southern Hospitality, Southern Charm, Summer House, because they are all happening in the summer, maybe the summer shows. And all 3 are like really heating up. I think they've all been really fun to watch.
Oh, yes. Guys, I have to say, because I watched Southern Hospitality last season, but I feel this is the first season I'm truly invested. And if you're not watching it, please give it a whirl. It is comedy. It is chaos. You have like early Vanderpump chaos mixed in with like early Southern Charm because you're in Charleston. The cast is really, there's no other way to put it than just naturally themselves. There is a zero self-production in contrast to what we're seeing as an example from Shep, and we'll get to that. So Joe and Maddie had this wedding in Vegas, which was not real. It was like a joke. She referred to it as a commitment ceremony. And they're showing her confessionals and then his confessionals and also Emmy's. And Emmy is telling Will, like, no, Joe came. So after the commitment ceremony, which was just a joke, they all were having fun on a night out. Joe had been overserved and he went to his hotel room, went to sleep. Emmy and Maddie were like, ooh, let's go to the casino and gamble. So they gambled, got home late. Joe was pissed off. He was like, I can't believe you did this to me on our wedding night. Then they flashed to Maddie in the confessional and Joe thinks the wedding's real. It's not real. I was laughing out loud. It's feel good. There's drama, but it's really no nonsense too. The stuff with Emmy and Will, it's icky. Because even her sister, it's clear that at some point Will was cheating. Where there's so much smoke, everybody, and these people are her friends, and they want the best for her. And they're all friends with Will, and they're all in a really tricky situation. Because all these rumors are out there, and then Will and Emmy have a fight, and Will goes to Emmy's place of work when she's not working, gets drunk, and badmouths her to their mutual friends. And then they tell Emmy, because that's the right thing to do, and Emmy is, I can't believe you're doing this to me, and Will.
Yeah. I have a theory about what is going on with that. Just came to me in the last couple of days. I think they're not breaking the fourth wall. I think partially because Emily probably wants to keep her head buried in the sand. I have a theory that Will is telling Emmy, this is all lies. And it's just made up drama for the show. And that's what he's telling her over and over again. And it's, like I said, I think Emmy has a big part of her that wants to keep her head buried in the sand. But I think at the same time, she also wants to believe, Will. And that's a pretty good excuse, I'm guessing. And they're all being really good about not breaking the fourth wall. They're all trying to behave in that sense, or at least editors have edited that out. So these guys are green in the very best way. One of the guys, I think Austin, had never been to Vegas. Joey Bottles, he's either the most earnest kid in the world. I think he's a little bit delusional, maybe also a little bit lovesick, but I feel like he should lay off a little bit because I ordered all this food for us to have for our wedding night. I ordered steak. I forget all of the things that he said. I'm like, oh my goodness. I think Maddie's going to get the ick if he doesn't lay off a little bit.
I agree with you, but I have to say there's something about Joey Bottles that has grown on me. I think he is endearing and earnest. I think that's a really good word.
Yeah.
And he's just is so happy to finally be dating her. He's got to cool it down. They just today released a clip of the reunion. It's still in the Watch What Happens Live studio, which, bravo, give them their stage. This is a show that is going to be earning you guys money because these kids are great. It looks great. You have Emmy screaming and crying. It sounds like she's saying that Will's quitting the show in a shock to nobody. But then if he's quitting the show, he can't. I think your theory about him like blaming it all on editing and storyline is on point. Once he's off the show, he won't be able to do that. I guess she figures the rumors will stop, but they won't because they'll just say your boyfriend who's no longer here.
Yeah.
But the reunion looks great.
Oh, good. I haven't seen the preview for it.
Just dropped. I think you were probably on your other call when that dropped. But we got to discuss Southern Charm because I had a lot of catching up to do this week. And I have to tell you how wonderful it is to get off a plane and be like, guys, after you're with your family. And I love family time. We had a wonderful time, but it is 7 days and nights all together and everywhere all day and traveling. And it's hot in Argentina. So it was really nice to come home, hop in a shower, put on comfy, cozy clothes and be like, I have to go watch all of my shows.
Yes.
The blogs don't write themselves. So Shep in the Bahamas with Sienna. I have so many opinions on this, and I think it's hard to say what like I most wanted to address this week, but this is up there. Austin saying he wanted to disappear into the Bohemian sky upon Shep reading his text was the most relatable Austin has ever been in the history of Austin Kroll. I, too, wanted to disappear into the Bohemian sky, but here is my theory, Amanda, and I want you to give me your take.
Hit me.
And I actually made a post about this because I felt that strongly about it and I did not have a microphone in front of me. So, Shep is on the show for 10 years. We have seen Shep have a variety of wonderful girlfriends. We have seen him be infatuated and head over heels and ultimately cheat on every single one of them.
Yeah.
We're going back 10 seasons, okay? We know this man a long time. Suddenly, he meets this gorgeous woman. She's Miss Bahamas. She's a model. Yes, get the infatuation. I would like to note that we happen to know that Shep, during filming and throughout the duration of dating Sienna, was on Raya the entire time. Okay, so that's one piece of my theory.
Okay.
This entire time they were dating, infatuated, on Raya. So he's head over heels for this girl at 47 years old, right? This is a man who has never behaved this way with a woman. This is coming off of BravoCon where he was blackout drunk, okay? I think I have 10 posts from different people at BravoCon and their interactions with Shep and how off the wall, crazy and rude and just inappropriate he was as a result of his drinking. At the reunion, he had to own up to it. He basically admitted he had a drinking problem. He said he was going to work on it. I think his version of working on it was not drinking hard liquor, or he did the whatever that ayahuasca. I think that this whole thing, another thing I'd like to say about Shep, he's a very bright guy, okay? I think this whole thing with Sienna, is she gorgeous? Was he attracted to her? Did he like her? 100%. Everything beyond that is a storyline to distract from BravoCon, from the drinking problem. I want to know what you think of that.
I agree, but I have a follow-up question because I do think that this was in part at least him trying to clean up his image, have this redemption arc kind of season, also show a little humility, because that's not generally been something. He'll do the false humility where he'll make fun of himself in a self-deprecating way, but you don't really ever say like, I fucked up, or I don't like the way I acted in XYZ situation. So that's what
Moreover, even at the beginning of this season, he's tried to make Austin and Craig the bad guys, that they weren't there to clean up his BravoCon mess. And they were like, dude, this is the millionth time you've done this. Stop acting like this is the first time.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. My follow-up question back to you is, was Sienna in on it? Was he thinking, because he thinks he's God's gift to women, that if he shows this level of interest, then she will show it back, and he was surprised? Or was her reaction built as the end goal or end plan anyway? Because I will say, I don't feel like I ever really saw any chemistry from them when she came to visit the beginning of the season.
I don't think she was in on it.
Okay.
I think you're exactly right that there wasn't much chemistry, although I'm sure he was attracted to her. I don't think that he is not a stupid man. It was very clear that she just went on a couple dates with him and probably wanted to be on TV. And I'm sure that was clear to him. Maybe I think it was a storyline, and maybe he was a little surprised that she didn't fall for it when he laid it on so thick. There's just no world where this was like really what he's presenting to us.
Yeah.
There's a world where they hooked up and he wanted to go back to the Bahamas to hang out with her, because who doesn't want to hang in the Bahamas and hook up with a gorgeous, fun model? But anything beyond that was put on for storyline.
I agree. And it came very conveniently when he realized he needed this redemption arc.
Yes.
Before we move on, can we talk really quickly about Austin and Madison as friends?
So
I'm loving this duo together.
It is. And it's funny because we talk so much about self-producing and making things happen for the sake of remaining on the show or whatever. And with them, I don't feel that at all. They genuinely have gotten to a place where they're able to be in each other's lives and have the pieces of each other they like. They like each other. They're friends. They probably shouldn't have dated, but there was always a natural chemistry there. And it's much more well-suited as a friendship.
Yes. And I also really like it selfishly and strategically for Madison, because I feel like that makes us get to see her more, because where she is in life, and now we know she's pregnant, but married, elementary age school or almost teen age child, not quite in the same station of life as still going out until 3 a.m. at King Street or focusing so much on your business like Craig was. I want to see more of it. I really like it.
I love it. And we are going to see her focusing because she's coming out with a pajama line. I believe somebody said that she's also opening a salon, a new salon. So give us all the Madison, give us the spinoff. She has a Lindsay. She's not like Lindsay Hubbard, but she has that quality where she's a strong enough character on a reality show to carry her own show. And she's great on a ensemble cast as well. Much more so than, say, Leva. Like, why is Leva still there?
You got me.
I don't dislike her. She doesn't interest me.
They didn't even mention why she didn't go to the Bahamas, if that says anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's who?
So you got that intel on Miss Patricia. So let me just share that with everybody.
Because this is in Cocktail, guys. It's just so funny.
It says, we saw this week that White Lotus bases one of the characters off of, and I think a lot of it's the way he talks, accent off of Thomas Ravenel, which, by the way, quick plug for White Lotus. If you guys aren't watching it, watch it because we're going to talk about it and it's so good. So this made, I think, all of us crack up because somebody else on Cocktail shared that they were born in Charleston, grew up in Myrtle Beach. They said, for what it's worth, Patricia isn't a Southerner, even though she tries to pass herself off as one. She has been politely rebuffed from Charleston society, and that Thomas Ravenel and Shep are the only ones with real Southern or South Carolina accents.
The rebuffed made me giggle. Somebody else wrote in and said that she's from the South, but not South Carolina, meaning Patricia. Somebody said she is from the South, but she's not a Charleston native, which I think was the point. I have to tell you, when it was confirmed by the creator of White Lotus that the Jason Isaacs character's accent on this season, which just started, we're at episode 2.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
We have 2 episodes,
is based off of Thomas Ravenel. Collectively, I love things that bring the Bravo community together, and this was certainly something that made us all chuckle because nobody anywhere in our Bravo sphere is a fan of T-Rav.
Yeah.
Cameron, who we remember as an OG of Southern Charm, who a lot of us still follow on social media, she took to her stories and she said, y'all are echoing what I thought as soon as I heard the dad speak. I thought, damn, he sounds like Thomas Ravenel. That dialect is not North Carolina. It's Old Charleston. So there's a distinct difference. Cameron added that she got lots of messages asking what's the difference between a Charleston accent and an Old Charleston accent. So Cameron said there's really no such thing as current Charleston dialect because so many Northerners live there now.
Mm-hmm.
But the old Charleston English is still clinging on to a very few. So you guys know I'm always interested in everything South because I'm so Northerner. But Cameron actually said, so the cocktailer said Thomas and Shep had the South Carolina accents, but Cameron said that Thomas is the only original cast member born and bred in Charleston. I'm going to guess, we know that Shep's family has properties everywhere. He must have not been born and raised in Charleston. It must have been like in a different...
He grew up in Hilton Head because he and Teddy Mellencamp grew up together.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
But
I don't know. I think I want to throw in another plug for White Lotus. Like,
we are not being paid to plug White Lotus. We just love it.
No.
What do you think about them changing the theme song? I obviously was behind, but I guess I was so prepared for it that I didn't feel as annoyed. Like I felt, okay, I was so excited to see it that like maybe next episode I'll be like, ugh.
No, immediately when we were watching the first episode, when I was watching it with my husband, I'm like, oh my God, they changed the theme song. Because the whole day I was like, and my husband was like, why are you singing the Chiefs, the Chiefs fight song? And I'm like, I am not a singer, but I'm like, it's the White Lotus theme.
Had he not watched White Lotus or he just
He
put tunes?
He had.
Right. It was just you were singing out of tune.
I think I'm just a bad singer. So I noticed it immediately. I was bummed about that.
By the way, the monkeys are scaring me.
Do you guys know, and this is not a spoiler, Austin, who is now our friend at Bravo and Cocktails, he actually posted a theory that because the very, very beginning of the first episode starts, almost the very beginning starts, there is a shooting at the White Lotus, and you can't really tell who is being targeted, and it looks like it's coming from far off because it's hitting all different kinds of things. His theory is that it's the monkeys.
Oh, yes.
That monkey gets a gun, which
I believe it.
I actually think that's a really good angle. And then, oh my gosh, it might have been Hillary, and I'm sorry if I got the wrong cocktailer, but we were having a discussion in Discord about White Lotus because we now have a channel there too. And she said something that I had never heard. Mike White, who is the showrunner, writer of White Lotus, had been on Survivor.
Yeah.
And
I saw that.
Yeah. And in Survivor, so then on White Lotus, every year he uses some of the Survivor folks as extras on the show. And I'm like, that is so interesting to me because I guess Mike White was a very beloved contestant also on Survivor. But I'm like, I think that in order to be good on that show, you have to really have a good understanding of human nature and maybe people making hard decisions in situations. And that makes so much sense because the show is so good.
I agree.
Okay, so enough of that. We really aren't being you and I both like good TV, and that is good TV.
That is good TV.
So the last of the seasonal shows, what should we call them? The last of the trio.
Shows.
Seasonal shows.
The S shows.
The S shows. Oh, you guys know, you've listened to us long enough that I always get Southern Charm and Summer House. When I'm trying to talk about one, I mention the other.
Do you know how many times I've made posts on the site and I write Southern Hospitality with Southern Charm or vice versa, and people are like, huh? And I'm like, oh God, I did it again in the comments, and I have to go change it.
Yeah, we're human, guys. I thought last night's episode was so good. I was laughing so hard. First of all, their epic I've said before, I don't know that I need to see everybody like crazy partying all the time, but I loved this epic 4th of July party. I think the big parties are always really fun to watch. I love Paige saying, oh, am I one of the old people now?
Yeah.
And then dying laughing about.
First of all, it happened so quick in life. Like, I remember the moment or the moments, because it's not one moment, but I remember the moments where I was like, I'm older now.
Yeah.
And it's just a feeling because you're not even actually that much older.
Yeah.
And I got married at 26, so I feel like that weighed into it a lot. And then I had my first child at 29. But I just remember there was this moment where I was around 21-year-olds and I was like, yeah, no, I'm older than these people.
Yeah. And I feel it with my mom life too.
Yes.
My kids,
oh my God, it's so
the younger moms or the younger kid moms, I'm like, oh, I'm not in that world.
Yes, 100%. And it's funny. Sorry, we're going on a tangent. But I went to the Halloween dance and a couple of people I know from my neighborhood who have younger kids, not necessarily younger than me, but they just have younger kids. They were like, oh, are you going to go to whatever, the mom's yoga night? And I was like, girl, bye. I am on my second kid. I am on my way out of this elementary school. You know what I mean?
I know.
You just get on a different wavelength. And it really goes year by year.
Completely. I get it. I was 4 years on the board of the PTO, and now I'm sorry if anybody who knows me is listening, I don't always open emails from school.
Yeah. Because we know, you get to,
because you know
where to know.
Yeah. You know the drill. And you also know that if it's something from the teachers, obviously I open that, but you
also know you're going to get 3 reminders.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think it also becomes a point where your kids are old enough to come home and tell you about the important things too. I think that's an important piece. When you have a kid in pre-K and kindergarten, you have to check. Now, when one of my kids has a school trip, I don't have to wait to look for the permission slip. They're telling me because they want it.
Or tomorrow's sports jersey school at school day, whatever. I'm like, okay, fine. They'll figure it out and they'll do it. Because before, when they were really little, you didn't want them to be the only one and then be upset. And it was more your responsibility. And now I'm like, if they forget to wear their jersey, I have 50 other things that I should be worrying about, 100%. Including what to make for dinner before I worry about that.
Yeah.
The hot dogs in the dunk tank.
Ew.
Oh,
Don't
God.
even.
Oh, no, can I just say, though, when West is the first one to go in, and then you see the wiener, like, just floating around in the window, and Amanda, I just got wiener juice in my... It was hilarious. I thought the boys were really good sports.
Oh, it was disgusting.
You don't want to talk about the wiener.
Oh,
okay.
you know, like
Too bad we got to get Tracy back on here to talk about the wiener stuff. Which, by the way, I got somebody on Discord and then an email from people saying, they're like, wait, can you tell us who Tracy is? And I'm like, oh, you know what? That's such a good point because we've introduced her. We've had her on. We've talked about her. But if you're a newer to Cocktail Party or newer to the show, Tracy does our ad sales for the podcast, for Bravo and Cocktails, for everything. And she is a force of nature.
And how she became Amanda and I did not know Tracy was a cocktailer and a Bravo and Cocktails OG follower. And when we started the podcast, she reached out to us and she was like, I work in advertisements, and we got on a call. So I always tell you guys, email me or Amanda your resumes because I have a tab in my email that Amanda taught me how to make. And she's laughing because it's true. And it's titled resumes, and I save them because listen, we need admin help. We need different things. And we're equal opportunity hirers, but we really only hire cocktailers because I'm not going to hire somebody who isn't a part of the community.
Yeah. And it just helps if we all have kind of the same passion and excitement about what we do here at Bravo and Cocktails.
Exactly.
Lexi and Jesse, let's talk about that. They're hot and heavy. And on episode 2, they haven't even known each other for a week, and they're discussing sharing a room the next weekend at the summer house. What are your thoughts on this whole dynamic?
You know what? I think it's adorable. I think I really like Lexi. I think she's pretty and cute and great energy. I find Jesse so likable. He's just very naturally funny and clever. So I'm enjoying it. A lot of people are saying, oh, she's like Lala. Lala was not likable out of the gate on Vanderpump Rules. She was always like the mean girl.
Edge.
Yeah, an edge. Whereas Lexi is like just sweet and silly and lovable. I don't want to spoil it, but if you're in Cocktail Party, you know that a lot goes on between them, which I'm excited to see how much of it is shown. We had a post last night. One of you guys spotted them out, him meeting the parents. And sure enough, there it was, him meeting. And I remember getting it and thinking, is this person short? Because they just started filming. Why would he already be meeting the parents? And sure enough. So thank you to whoever sent that. But I hear they're not currently dating. Let's see what goes down. I have an idea, and if you're in Cocktail Party, you have an idea. And I do have a master post that I need to repost because I forget what I posted too.
I find this whole fast-moving thing to be interesting, and I think we just do it naturally. We're always thinking, since we've been doing this podcast for almost 3 years now, we're always thinking about what people's motivations are, whether it's what we're seeing on the surface on the cameras, if there's something that has to do with the show that they're not breaking the fourth wall with. And Jesse being so head over heels so fast for me has, even though we knew that it was happening, right? Because we were getting so much intel from last summer, watching it is a different thing. And I actually read a really interesting take from your Bish therapist who we've had on the show. This was a post on Instagram, and her take was about Jesse. And she said she is a cancer survivor. And she said it's a well-known thing within the cancer survivor community that after people get through cancer, they go through a quote-unquote hoe phase where dating and sex-wise, they behave in a lot more carefree way, maybe like almost like a rebound, but from their cancer experience.
I saw that too, and it makes a lot of sense. And I can tell you that, and this is a post that's in Cocktail Party, Jesse this summer was going around telling women, girls he met out east, don't worry, I'll be able to date again in September. So I think that he was infatuated with her. I think we're going to see him start to be like, I don't really want a girlfriend. Or at the very least, at the very end of the summer, we know that's how it ends up because they are not dating. So, yeah.
I think it's interesting about Lexi, what we saw too, about her sharing a little bit of her history. And I actually really appreciated that she talked about how being a model, people always assumed that she was not nice. And so people were not nice to her. And that some guys have been very intimidated about who she's dated. And I'll let you fill everybody in about that, but that she's dated celebrities in the past, and that I thought that whole thing made her a little bit more relatable.
I have to tell you, and you don't know if she's just playing to the audience, but I don't get that sense. I think she's just a nice girl who happens to be very pretty, who happens to be a model and ran in these circles. She dated Brooklyn Beckham. She dated Cindy Crawford's son, Presley Gerber. She was briefly linked to Leonardo DiCaprio, so she's dated some big fish. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I really realized the Leo DiCaprio thing, but
I don't know if they dated so much, but they were definitely linked together.
Yeah. She's 26, so it's good that she dated earlier. Let's see here. Oh, before we go for the week and wrap up, we should talk about Sierra and West.
Yes. Because the whole Kyle Amanda Page situation, I have a lot of thoughts on, but that whole explosion airs next week, so we could save that. But we got to address the Sierra West, because I have feelings, and I don't think I have I think my opinion may not be the popular opinion, but I'm going to say it.
I think I know a little bit about what you're thinking, because we talked a little bit about this on the Zoom last night, which was so awesome, you guys. Thanks again for a great one. How great was Sierra's line when she said she called West going to the New York Times a beta ass move?
Yes. It reminded me of Madison. Remember when Madison would always call Austin a beta?
Yeah.
I think that was the first time I ever heard it used that way. I was like, huh?
It was so good. So I actually went to the New York Times to pull up this article because I needed the reminder, because I remembered there was a big article just about West. Maybe it must have been right around when before the reunion came out. I think that article was May 24th-ish or whatever of last year. And then this article was June 12th-ish. And we know that Traitors filmed in June. And we know I came back to all these texts on my phone and she's, what the fuck? So here is what the New York Times article said, that West said, the relationship ran its course. I didn't think we were meant to be together. That's it. I think me trying to deflect the actual relationship and name all these external things like the show really made me sound like an idiot.
Okay. So obviously we don't see everything behind the scenes, but I'm wondering if they hooked up after the reunion, because she seems to be indicating that they did. But then when they had the conversation after the dinner, when she said all that stuff, he said something like, I thought we had closure after the reunion. If they did hook up after, I feel like it makes more sense, because and then she said to Paige, it's so toxic because I just said all that to him, but I want to kiss him. And then in her confessional, doesn't he realize I just want to hug him and go back to how things were? And it really made me feel bad for her, because we see that she's still hopeful that maybe the door isn't closed. And he, on the other hand, looks like, I just want her to stop being so mad at me so I can have a fun summer. He doesn't seem interested at all. Would you agree with that assessment?
Completely. But also walking around with his head down because of what's going on between the two. So yes, I think he's legitimately wants her to stop being mad, but not because he wants to hook up again, because he just, wants it to be done.
And here's the thing. I certainly think him doing the article was not cool at all, especially if they hooked up after the reunion. And I just feel like the things she said, she doesn't want to say it, but she hinted at it. But I also have to say, and this is what's going to be unpopular, I don't think it makes him a terrible, malicious person. Yes, a fuckboy, yes. And I don't think he should have said it's the New York Times article, but I think that what he said, and I said this last night on the Zoom, I think he met her and he was shocked that somebody as gorgeous as Sierra was interested in him. And I think he was completely infatuated during the last summer. And then I think as he got to know her, whether it was that he was getting attention from girls because now he's on TV and he had opportunities that he had never had, which certainly could be the case, I just think that he wasn't that into her on a serious level. And I completely appreciate that it's hurtful to her, but I don't think it makes him this awful, terrible person, because people like DM me and they're like, oh, he's a piece of shit, he's this, that, he's the other thing. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's his first season on reality TV. He's navigating it. He shouldn't have got hot and heavy with her. He did. He certainly shouldn't have opened his big fat mouth to the New York Times. But does it make him the worst guy in the world that they dated for a little while and he said to her, listen, I don't want you to be my serious girlfriend? I don't think it. I understand why she feels bad because she honestly was more into it than he was. And that's what it is. It happens.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't think he led her on. And this is my other
Okay.
point. Because when they were on the ranch or wherever they went, like where the horse is last summer, he actually indicated, he was like, I don't know if I'm really ready. And this was like a few weeks into the summer and she hadn't slept with him yet. And he was like, I want you to come meet my parents. And she said something like, but are we boyfriend and girlfriend? He was like, I don't know. And so like she started realizing at the end of summer, like he's not serious about this. So yes, the first couple of weeks he was so infatuated. Oh my God, this is amazing. She's amazing. She's so gorgeous. And then I think it cooled off. And like she didn't read those signs.
But it's a little bit of a mixed signal because I wonder if part of the reason she was wondering if he wasn't so sure is because they hadn't had sex, right? And at the reunion, she's like, all summer I didn't give you what you wanted, and then I do, and then you essentially ditch me, which I think she's got a good point too. I agree.
I see that point. And you know what I have to say? So is there an argument? Women should do whatever they want with their bodies. But it seems like sometimes it seems like, okay, if I make him wait for it, he'll appreciate me more. Then maybe if you make him wait for it, once he gets it, he's just going to go like he would have if you gave it to him the second night. Do it when you want to do it, but don't think it's going to make them stay. I guess that's my
Yeah, don't do it in a strategic way.
Because the outcome is going to be the outcome. If it takes him 3 months or 3 dates or 3 hours, if he's going to bounce once he gets it, he's going to bounce in 3 months or 3 days or 3 hours.
Right. And I don't, it's hard to say if the whole reason she was doing it, I don't know that it was even that kind of calculated of a move. But
no, she said something like, I don't give myself to everybody. And I think for her, she wanted to wait until she had the feeling that she wanted to, which absolutely we all should wait until we want to do that. But
yeah,
it's not that I don't feel for Ciara. I do. I just don't.
Yeah. You think what Wes did was shitty, but not intentional.
Yeah. Because I think he was into her until he wasn't.
I think his frontal lobe has not fully developed as well.
Yes.
And I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he makes some dumb choices.
And full disclosure, I don't find him like somebody attractive or that. Like, I find it surprising that Ciara's so upset about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole, like, I still want to make out, that one threw me for a loop, too. But I still would be like, okay, I'm still mad at you, but let's make out. Like, that's not a feeling that I really identify with as a person. But I think somebody called her out as being an avoidant attachment style. And I'm like, that makes sense. Because, again, I don't know everything about attachment styles, but avoidance, that's one of the things I would say Paige seems like an avoidant. I'm like, that's what kind of makes a little bit of sense to me. Somebody should come in and talk to us about attachment styles. I am going to butcher it if I try to explain it.
All right. I have a lot more Summer House to say, but I do want to wait for next week's episode because I want to have the full picture.
I completely agree.
I want to know I want to see the whole wannabe Diplo and Paige situation.
It's going to be good.
We love you guys. Until next time.
Thanks.
What's up, cocktailers? We want to thank you, as always, for listening to Cocktails and Gossip. Because of you, we've hit some amazing milestones, had some hilarious conversations, and have grown a truly amazing community. If you haven't already followed our podcast, hit the follow button in the top right of your Apple Podcast player, the follow button under the show logo on Spotify, or the subscribe button on Google Podcasts. We thrive on you, our audience. So make sure to tell all your gossip-loving friends about us too. And if you want to get all the tea, join our membership cocktail party by going to bravoandcocktails.com/join. Our members get access to the exclusive tea we post, the weekly podcast without ads, plus another additional bonus podcast every week. And of course, members also get to join us on our monthly live cocktail party Zoom, where we talk about the latest tea and even share tea that's just too hot to put in writing. Last But maybe best, our members get access to the Cocktail Party Discord, where you can chat with Amanda, me, and all of the other cocktailers as well. There are always some great combos and hilarious comments happening in Discord. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you.